Hello everyone, how you doing? I hope you're well. So for this week's message, I decided not to do a meditation, but rather draw two oracle cards from a deck. And this week I selected the Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron-Reid. So if I look at the overall message from the two cards, it relates to the challenging phase we are going through right now in the collective. Now, the first card is called Feeling the World. The second one, here we go, Earth Magic. Beautiful card. Now, it's interesting because when I saw the first card, Feeling the World, I could sense one of the key messages here was for the empath and are highly sensitive people. And the message is very similar to the message and the information I shared with some of you in the latest episode of my podcast. So I'm not going to concentrate too much on the message. If you haven't listened to the latest episode of my podcast and you are interested, you'll find the links below in the description box. You can listen to it on Anchor, Facebook, even my YouTube channel. Okay, but there is a lot of information there that I shared with you, including my experience as an empath from a very young age to now in my adulthood. So check that if you are interested. Actually, I'm advising you to do it. Now, going back to the Feeling the World card. Yes, I mean, most people can sense the heavy energies in the collective right now. Energies of fear, of anger, of frustration, confusion, and uncertainty. Okay, we can't deny that. But Spirit came up with solutions. Basically, Spirit said to us, we don't have to soak up all these energies. And before I talk a bit more about the messages I've got a question for you. How does your reality feel right now if you compare it to what's happening in the collective? And what I mean by that, if you look at your life and you think, you know what, of course, my life is not perfect, but overall it's quite good. And it feels so different to what's happening in the collective. Or you suddenly realize, you know what, my life is not that bad. I've got a lot to be thankful for, but still, I soak up the energies, the heavy energies, and does have any kind of impact on myself, physically, emotionally, even mentally. I can feel the fear, and I don't know what to do, basically. And the third scenario, of course, some people will go through a challenging phase in their lives, and I feel for you, really. Going through a challenging phase, it could be health, it could be financial, material, you've lost your job, etc. And yes, picking up on the energies, the heavy energies in the collective, it doesn't help you. Now, Spirit says, in some ways, and that's why I'm going to connect the first message from the Feeling the World to the Earth Magic. Spirit says you don't have to be in this situation. You can try to shift your focus to something more positive. And with the Earth card, we are reminded, especially if you connect, if you look at the Earth, nature shows us every day the magic around us. Magic is all around us every day. Especially if you go for a walk in nature. And look, it's interesting. On the picture you can see the person has her or his bare feet on the ground, you know, and you can see all the energy, the magic coming from the earth here. So it's interesting because I've got two messages here coming from the card. One, you go on a walk, you do kind of mindfulness exercise, and you look around you and you can see the magic. You can see it in the clouds, in the trees, in your surroundings, animals, etc. Okay? And it's a good reminder. But there is also an aspect which is important. When we feel fearful and unbalanced, one of the key things to be reminded is it's important to be grounded every day. And I think the image there showing us that grounding is very important. And by grounding your energy, you help to connect with your emotions and your own body. And this is part of that self-care practice I've been talking about in a few of my videos, and if you haven't watched them, you can check them on my YouTube channel. Self-care practice, grounding, is going to help you to feel centered and balanced. And this is where the fear happening outside has less of an impact in our lives, but in, body, I'm talking body, emotional, mental, or even spiritual side of us. Now, it's interesting when you look at the card here, and you can see the clouds are beautiful, they're pink and color. That's why I love the energy of the card. It's just to remind you, you do this, you ground your energy, you look around you, you look at the magic in your life. And magic is all around us, all there for us to absorb. It's about having the ability to see it and feel it. That's going to help us to shift the focus from being worried, being fearful about the future, and feeling the fear in the collective. So this is one way that Spirit wanted to show me how to deal with it. The other one, and this could be, is for any of us, and I do understand, especially for people going through a challenging phase in their lives, sometimes it's difficult to see the positive, especially if you can't see yet the light at the end of the tunnel. I do understand that. But I personally believe we can, with gratitude, we can see the abundance in our lives. All of us, each of us can be grateful for something in our lives. I know for some of us it's going to be harder than others, but gratitude is going to help us again to shift the focus on something more positive. So we are reminded of that right now, okay? Now, what I would like to do, I'm going to draw two other cards, but this time from basically a tarot deck to have something different. And today I'm going to use the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Krans. So let's see, I'm going to ask Spirit if there are any other messages or confirmation for that matter. Okay, let's see. Jumpy cards, quite fun. Okay, let's see. Very interesting. I love it actually. It's a kind of confirmation of the other two cards, very much connected. But what's interesting, and I'm going to show you why, when you read tarot cards, and people who do use tarot decks will understand that, sometimes the message is very strong, by only looking at the actual pictures, okay, the images. And this time around it is. Okay, the first card, sorry, I just drew is the Eight of Swords, okay? But look at the second one. The Six of Wands. How interesting. Look at the pictures. We are talking about different stages of the transformation of a butterfly. Okay. Well, first of all, let's look at the Eight of Swords. Generally, the Eight of Swords in a more traditional deck is represented by a woman with a cord around her, but it's quite loose. She's blindfolded and the swords are around her, but they don't stop her to escape from the situation where you may feel trapped, stuck, okay? And that's why the main message from the Eight of Swords is about self-limitation and self-restrictions. So it's self-imposed, if you see what I mean. So if you're going back to the message I've got for the collective and for us on an individual level, is Spirit says to us, we don't have to stay in this place of fear. By shifting, and it's interesting because swords in the tarot represent the mind, the thoughts. By shifting our mindset, okay, different perspective, we can be in a place where fear is not going to impact us. And I'm talking the fear coming from the collective and all the heavy energies, okay? So it's almost I get restrictions is the key one, okay? It's time to take back our power. And by doing so, by doing the work, by shifting our perspective, shifting our mindset to something more positive, like, for example, like I just mentioned, gratitude, looking at the abundance in our lives, okay, looking at the magic around us. That's why I'm going to come to the second card. This is part of evolution. This is part of transformation. How this butterfly, okay, which is not fully formed, okay, still in the process of transformation, okay, it's not fully formed, it's not quite out of the cocoon yet. So there is potential for transformation, okay, to this. And before I go and talk more about the Six of Wands, we need to understand the collective is at a crossroads at the moment, okay? And because we're going through a very challenging phase, and as you know, when we go through as individuals through a challenging time, a challenging phase in our lives, this is when potentially we grow, we evolve, okay? And let's face it, we've had as a collective the opportunity to do it for nearly 2 years from the start of the pandemic, and it's still there. So this card is basically saying you can do it by changing your mindset. Okay, now going back to the Six of Wands, I think this is beautiful, and the image actually describe it from this place, okay, where hopefully you're going to do the necessary work, internal work, by shifting your mind, change of perspective, not to be any more soaking up the fear that we can experience in the collective. By doing so, look, you're going through a phase of transformation. you become this beautiful butterfly, fully grown, and you rising up from the dark ones there, which is, to me, this is the collective, okay? And you say, no, no more. My reality is very different to the one I'm experiencing or observing in the collective. So the Six of Wands is basically a message of victory. Normally, in a traditional tarot deck, we see a man on a horse coming back from a battle, and he won the battle, okay? So it's a victory card. Is when we reach a goal and we reach a milestone, okay? So Spirit is saying potentially we can go through a period of growth by shifting our mindset, changing our perspective about the world. And let's face it, as a reminder, we as individuals, we are creating, each of us, we are creating our own reality with our thoughts, our emotions, and actions. So it's a time of reassessing, looking at our lives and say, you know what? I'm so tired to feel fearful all the time. Yes, what we're going through on a collective level is very challenging, okay? I can't deny that. But at the end of the day, we can shift our perspective, our mindset, and experience something beautiful in our lives. We can have a different reality. And to be clear, a last thing before I end this video, let's be clear about something. I'm not asking you to totally ignore what's happening in the collective right now, okay? We need to be aware of what's happening because each of us, we are part of the collective. And having our head in the sand is not going to help. For we need to be aware. But Spirit just reminds us to watch how we react. And again, don't give yourself a hard time. If suddenly one day the fear is taking over again, that's fine. You're human. You're going to have days where suddenly the doubt or the fear will come back. Just react. Do whatever you feel is right for you to go back to center and rebalance yourself. So that's it for this week. I hope the message was useful. So again, remember, if you want to listen to the latest episode of my podcast, you'll find the link below in the information box. So thank you for watching, thank you for liking and sharing. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to get future notifications on videos. And if you are interested to get a personal reading with me, you please check my website. You'll find the link below in the information box. So talk to you soon. Take care. Bye for now.